All right. We're live. Are we working? Oh, wow. All right. So, yeah, man, I'm having some technical difficulties this morning. Lots of technical difficulties this morning, apparently. So, I did a little bit because I learned that when I say, hey, look, I got to shade this, and I throw the shade on there, we got to let it dry for like 2 hours. That's no fun for people to sit here watching paint dry. It's not what we're going to do. Watch paint get put on. So I went ahead and shaded the metal with Agrax Earthshade. I shaded the Castellan green with Antonian Camo Shade, and all of the white spots were given Seraphim Sepia. Now, what I'm doing here is slowly building up my layers. So, for example, like this armor piece here, we will take just a little bit of this flayed one's flesh after I shake my bottle. And we are going to make a few. Oh, here's some that's already out. Get a little bit of this on our brush. And we'll just go about half of what we've. Oh, that's not cool. I'm running out of water. I guess that's the whole thing with the wet palette is keep it wet. All right, so get our paint and we'll start going over about 50% of our area. What that'll do is it'll cheat the gradient, if you will. I learned this doing the apothecaries, painting some of the apothecaries that are white. Is if you want to get a good gradient to your white shades, put multiple smaller layers and shrink your layer size. Allow some of the shade underneath your previous layer to bleed through around your edges, and you'll get a little bit of a difference. You're not going to notice it like, oh my God, look. It's not going to happen like that. But as you put more shades on, you'll start to see, little patterns here and there that kind of add character to what you're doing. Like right up along in here, I'm not going to fix those. Those are going to be part of the streaks and the dirtiness that's going to come with later on when we start adding effects to this guy. And that's a really fun part of doing these nights is when you start adding effects like little chips in the paint, scuffs, Nurgle snot bleeding through different places. Plus, this is going to be the first model that I've ever put the transfers on. Never done that. I tried when I was a kid with some models, you soak it in water, but no one ever really showed me how to do that. So I screwed it up horribly and did not try it again. So, but yeah, there we go. Really like how this green is going with this white too. Nice colors. So today I was driving my son. He made a mistake, and he has some community service he has to square away because, in America, when you're 18 and you get busted with a beer, apparently that's not so good for you. But anyway, he made a mistake and went to drop him off to do his community service, and they said, "No, we're not open today. We'll do community service tomorrow." So he couldn't get it done. But anyway, as we're driving back, he said something, and it reminded me of my childhood for a moment. There was a situation where my mom was married to a guy named Snake Johnson. All I know about Snake Johnson is that he was a biker and a truck driver, and my Uncle Ed hated that guy with every piece of his soul. Which is probably why my mom dated him and got married to him. But anyway, so I remember riding in the back of this guy's car, or pickup truck, cruising on along, doing our thing. And at the time, I had several soda bottles. There were glass soda bottles, and they all had the whole, 10-cent return policy, recycling policy. You got a dime if you turned in this bottle. And I was a kid that, didn't have a job. I was young. So I was really happy to have about 5 or 6 of these bottles that I had picked up. And it wasn't anything as magnanimous as saying, I want to make the world a better place by picking up this trash. It was I want that dime. I can get a whole handful of candy for a dime. So as we were driving, my mom was like, "Just throw those out." Nah, I got them. I don't want to litter. And apparently that was wrong. I remember the guy tapping quarters on the roof of his pickup truck, and I would get a quarter and he'd take a bottle and just throw it off into the ditch. And as a kid, I was like, man, I'm not going to say I was any kind of wise and freaking person at the time, but I think about it on occasion. I'm like, what was the purpose of that decision process? And that makes me think about some of the decisions that I make today. What is the purpose? What is my process? Why am I doing this? What's the benefit? Who does it benefit? And I try to apply this as I'm driving in traffic, specifically because I have a lot of anxiety after getting blown up, and I don't do well in traffic. I drive like an ass. Bottom line, I drive like an ass. So anyway, so I think about that, and I'm like, man, am I the jerk in the relationship here? Am I the guy that's the problem in this situation? And sometimes, yes, indeed, I am. We're going to do the Castellan green the same way that we do the flayed one's flesh. Just do a little bit less of it for right now for the first couple highlights. Probably going to use Death World Forest, and I might go up to this place called the Card Shop nearby and get a different shade of green to do my highlights. I want to stay dark. I don't want to necessarily... Ooh, that was almost a horrible idea. I want to stay dark with this. I don't necessarily want to get too bright. I'm kind of wondering how I'm going to do the metal. Probably use lead belcher. It's a nice dull metal. Maybe throw some black in there. But I do not know. I'm not very good at mixing paints like that and coming up with the colors. But I do know I have some Death World Forest air that I'll be using on these main body plates to highlight them. And if you do your brush strokes always down, you'll also create a look, I guess, a texture effect, especially thin layers that you allow to bleed through. So anyway, so that got me thinking, As we were driving, we saw some people out there saying free tacos. People out making free tacos for the population. It's cool. And I did something I did not expect I would do. I said something that was not nice. I said, man, y'all should take those free tacos to the homeless camp. It's like, why did I say that? That's what got me thinking about all of this. It's like, I was so, just quick with a negative comment. And it's like, man, you're part of the problem. If all you do is be negative, part of the problem. I start thinking about other stuff like that cartoon, Horton Hears a Who. I know Carol Burnett's character, the Karen kangaroo. But the problem is that's a caricature, man, of society today. Everybody's just so dead set on making sure everybody believes what they believe, what they think is right. It's weird. So think about that, and I think about how to be a better person. And that leads to, what bad stuff have you done in life? Seen some bad stuff. I tried not to be bad, but, here's the thing about being a soldier is being a jerk was, kind of the thing. I'm here to get something done, not be your friend. I'm here to accomplish a mission, not make you happy. I don't care about your feelings. We have stuff to do. And, that's one of those archer quarterback moments, I guess, where it's easy to look back and go, man, this was stupid. I had a guy named Sergeant Foy. I remember him in Germany. We were sitting out at a fake ASP. We were doing some training. And essentially what we were was just, paperwork people. And the whole purpose of doing training at places like Hohenfeld's and all of that is to get down not so much the combat action of the people, because, you ain't never going to get that. You ain't never going to get that until you get in combat. But to get the logistics of things down. Like if you're going to have to drive over to here, then you load up all of your vehicles and you drive over there and you pick up empty boxes of ammunition. Notional is what we call it. We call it notional ammunition. And drive it around for a couple of hours and then just bring it back over and drop it off and say, okay, we did that. That was our mission practice. And I thought that was the most ridiculously wasteful thing that you could do. Couldn't be any more wasteful than that. It was tons of hours of driving vehicles and wasting fuel and everything else. And then I was responsible for stuff downrange. And I realized that is a lost art, balancing everything like that. Nobody wants to be the guy that's at the, they call them fobbits. No one wanted to be a fobbit. Everybody wanted to be the hero. Everybody wanted to be in a firefight. Not me, man. When I was a kid, I saw a guy drowned. I was maybe 6. It's at a Texas daycare. And we were at a park. Kid was playing by the creek and fell in, and I watched him die. I watched him pull his body out. I watched him try to give him CPR. Didn't make it. That freaked me out really bad. Didn't make me scared of death or anything. Like I wasn't afraid. I realized I am going to die someday. I'm not immortal. People die. And, you watch that movie, The Crow, and they talk about childhood is over the moment you realize you can die. Yeah, you're right. It is. But did it make me a bitter person? I don't know, man. I watched a guy get kicked by a horse and horseshoe went in his lungs. That was a heck of a trip to the hospital with him and my uncles. But, you know, that finality of what could happen to you, that freaked me out a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Took a long time to come to terms with that. Tried to talk to people a few times because, you know, I don't know if I was looking for help trying to figure it out or just trying to make sense of it. But no one ever talked to me about it. No one ever wanted to listen when I had questions about that stuff. And I think that played a lot into how I was as an NCO in the Army coming up because, you know, you're shaped by your environment. No matter what anybody wants to say, you're a product of your environment. Religion is geographic. You know, I'm sure there's people who say, no, it's not. There's Christian. Yeah, I know about the Christian Mahalas in Iraq. I was there. I've talked to those people. And the only reason those people are Christians is because the parents and people that live there in that place say we're Christians. Seriously. That's it. The only reason. So if we're going to have religion as geographic, let's have everything else and put it in that category and try to figure it out. So when you do that, it's easier than, less responsible maybe, but it's easier than to do what I did and go to all of these foreign countries, meet with these strange and exotic people. And when I wasn't actively trying to kill them, I was trying to figure them out. And I mentioned the guy before, Mark Bellafield, amazing dynamic non-commissioned officer, great guy, great friend, great leader. Guy taught me everything that I really learned about leadership. The positive stuff came from him. I don't think I had anything negative from him. And that's rare that you can't objectively look at a guy and go, what negative leadership aspects have you seen from him? Never saw any. And that, sorry about the thing. I got to use the magnifying glass because my eyes ain't so good. That gave me a mentor, if you will, for a very short amount of time. Didn't get to have him in my life for very long, but the short amount of time I did, I learned quite a bit from that guy. I'm very grateful for those positive lessons. And this also stems from the latest Aussie Man Reviews video where he talks about, you know, crappy people. And that's a very, very generous adjective because people just, I don't know, man. I firmly believe we should be a lot more final with some stuff like, you know, I don't believe anybody that commits the act of rape should keep their genitals. I think, you know, if you use that as a weapon, take that weapon away. You are no longer allowed to have it. Kind of like guns, you know. You're very irresponsible with the gun. You shouldn't have one. It's my right. It's your right to have one, yeah, but, you know, it's not your right to be a danger to everybody else. As soon as you think your rights are more important than other people's safety, you no longer have those rights. Those rights should be taken away forcibly. Not a lot of people agree with that. Some people agree with it, but want to carry it further. I don't know, man. It's hard to talk politics because, you know, I'm in Texas, so it's a big thing for us. Guns are a way of life. So geographically, if I was in, like, you know, Missouri, be about the same. New York, not so much. Guns are not a way of life. They're misused, mistreated. People don't really, I think it's a respect thing. people aren't around them enough and understand enough what exactly they do. I mean, they think they do. And, you know, like every other soldier that you see, guys talk a lot of crap about being able to do this, that, and the other. And I'm a killer. And they get there and they're like, man, I don't know if I could do this, Sergeant. What do you mean? And I don't know if I want to kill anybody. That happens a lot. You don't get it. That conscientious objector thing, people still want to do their part, but something. When you kill a person, when you kill another man, you know, once again, this is one of those armchair quarterback moments, but when you become a killer and you killed somebody, I don't think that makes you any more of a man. I know, though, that it does make you less of a human. Doesn't matter why you did it. Doesn't matter. Justified, not justified. That's also a geographic fucking determination. So, sorry, I used profanity on my bad. But that geographic determination tells you if it's okay. Some people, it's okay to kill in the name of their religion or their country. Like, well, you were at war. You were doing this for your country. Yeah, you know what? I'm not big on religion because I don't like the whole stuff that goes with it, but I am big on some of the stories. And one of the stories that I like is a story of the Ten Commandments because it's a story about how to be nice to somebody. If you just follow the Ten Commandments, it's general guidelines for don't be a jerk. Don't kill nobody. Don't take people's stuff, you know, all of that. It's like, man, I don't like everything else that goes with it, but I like the morality of those rules. But nowhere in there does it say it's okay to do it as long as your president says to do it. You know, I'm not anti-U.S., so I'm not going to sit here and John Kerry my military service and, you know, all of that. I am proud of my service. I'm proud of what I've done. I like to think I did the right thing as best I could, but still coming to terms with that after retirement is a thing. I guess that's why I talk to the camera here and try to get by, because I'm trying to make sense of what I did, trying to find my own therapy for it. I don't like talking in front of people because people staring at me makes me nervous. I'm turning this, looking at where the light's hitting that metal that I just did, seeing how it's highlighting. I think I'm going to go with 2 tiny highlights on this. I'll get this lead belcher for the most part done, and then I'll get either shining silver. Yeah, I'll do shining silver and then this Necron compound dry brush, which is basically chrome, dry brush and chrome. But I'll start hitting all of the little bolts and rivets with that chrome, and those will stand out considerably. Learned that with my other Chaos Knight. It's like, yeah, little bitty bright spots on the silver. I've never been big on the outlining, how some people do edge highlighting. That's what they call it, where they will basically just make a line right around the inside of this, and they're like, okay, it's highlighted. Yeah, it's highlighted, but I don't like the way that looks personally. I think it's too uniform for what the soldier would look like. Now I've got my pretty Marines. I'm not going to lie. Some of my Space Marines are pretty Marines. They're painted all nice and bright. And I like that because, you know, I was always the soldier that tried to have my boots super bright and shiny in the morning because that was what I was told to do. I was told you got to have your boots bright. Got to shine your boots. People would get upset. Nah, man, you know, you got to shine your boots. We're about to go run through the forest and the swamps and the jungles. Yeah, well, doesn't mean you can't look good doing it, right? That was the philosophy. If you took the effort to start every day impeccable, it would be a good day. I never caught into that. I was always bitter because, you know, what the hell they make me shine my boots if it's just going to get dirty? It's just some control bull crap they do to us. Nah. Teaches discipline. Because those days when you don't have to shine your boots, you still get them shine and protected from everything? Or do you just let it slide? That's where you get into the morality of discipline. Discipline is very easy to define. It's very easy to come up with. Having discipline means you will do what is right, no matter how difficult, no matter the situation. Doing what's right, knowing no one will ever know you did it, is discipline and integrity. Doing it because it's the right thing to do and because it's what you should do and because it's what you want to do. It's what you obliged yourself to do. You committed yourself to doing. You know, why would you, only partially commit to it? And that's where you get into the aspects of how much do you want to commit to what you're doing. You know, I was not a soldier. I think my highest PT I ever scored was for my E6 promotion. Horribly difficult to do, but I got it. And I'm like, man, I could have been a 300 soldier if I'd have just applied myself a little bit more, but I have more important things to do than go to the gym every night. And more important things to do than, go on a 2-mile run every day after work just so I could run faster and further than the other guys. The hypocrisy of my thought pattern comes through that I try to figure out is why am I thinking this way? Is it wasn't as important to me to be any more physically fit than I was because I was above the standard and I was getting by. Even though I was above the standard, I was still settling for mediocrity. And that causes me to think, why do I get mad or frustrated when other people settle for mediocrity that I think is lesser? At this, you weren't mediocre, you were above the standard. No. That the standard is, once again, one of those geographic things. Standards set locally. And that's evident by the sheer idiocy of people that used to say you can add to a regulation, but you can't take away. What? Yeah, you know how they say you have to maintain this, that, or the other? Well, we say you have to do this. Like the Army standard was 60% in each event or 60 points in each event for PT. Okay, well, got that. But I've been in units where they say the company standard is 80 points in each event. If you don't have 80 points in each event, we're not going to approve passes. We'll still give you leave, but we're going to make it difficult for you to get leave. You're not going to get recommended for any schools, especially leadership schools, because we want those to go to the people that try harder and harder. And that's the thing. That's where it gets into the, people that don't understand and say, oh, bullies. It's like, that's not a bully thing. That leads me to my next thing is bullies. Now, don't get me wrong, the Army's full of bullies. It's a place that promotes the attitude. I'm not your friend. I'm here to be your leader. Like, yeah, I heard that crap growing up. And all it was an excuse for someone to be an ass just to be an ass. Be a jerk just for the sake of being a jerk. Not trying to lament or bitch, cry, and complain too much about my Army thing because I was that jerk. I'm trying to figure out how I could have been a better person, because figuring out how you could have been a better person makes it easier to become a better person. Figuring out your mistakes and not making them over and over. That makes you a better person. All right. Drop a skeleton bone on here. And I am going to get these little teeth that are coming out of this thing. Get these cleaned up. I'm going to use skeleton horde contrast on them, but I've got a little bit of lead belcher here and there on them. A little bit of shade on them that doesn't need to be there. I did see a thing on doing teeth. Guy said what you do is you take your Agrax Earthshade and you just put it on the bottom of your teeth. Then, where you got that stain, put a tiny line of yellow across it. Then, then you color it with skeleton horde, and all that'll bleed through, and it'll look just like nasty teeth, nasty unbrushed teeth. I haven't tried the effect personally. I just thought it was neat hearing the guy talk about it. So, wow, man, this is, I don't know if you guys could see it, but my hands are starting to shake really bad. That's where I start getting frustrated, lose my train of thought, start talking about other stuff, and forget where we were. So, been sitting here for a little while, kind of contemplating all of those things when I was growing up. What was the reason Snake Johnson and my mother wanted me to give them those bottles? I mean, technically, I probably had about 25, 30 cents worth of bottles, and they gave me, I think, $2 worth of quarters so he could throw them off into the ditch as we drove by. Why would someone do that? What is the purpose? What is the reasoning? And I just cannot fathom it. So I have to chalk it up to they were just generally crappy people. And that makes me sad because I start to realize, being a product of my environment growing up, I was a pretty crappy person in the Army. I mean, don't get me wrong. I got results, and that was my argument once or twice when I was getting chewed out for being just being a prick. Come on, I get results. Yeah, well, we no longer in a world where the mission is the thing. Like that Sergeant Foy guy I brought up. The reason I brought him up is because of that statement. I remember being out there in Hohenfels for that mission. And in the process of this, Sergeant Foy had come up to me and he said, "What is your mission?" I was like, I don't know what you mean. He goes, "What is your mission?" And he started getting pissed. And I was like, "I don't know what you mean, Sergeant. I'm a private. If I have to dig a foxhole, that's what I did." He goes, "You want me to have you digging foxholes?" "Sergeant, I don't understand what you want me to say. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know what you mean by that." And he was just so pissed that I could not fathom. It was horrible. And I'm like, man, I still to this day, I'm like, I really have no clue what he was talking about. I do not know. And that confuses me. And it makes me wonder, was I ever that guy? I just yelled at people? Think about a time in the prison. We had you're really not supposed to do this because you shouldn't do it. You should never humanize prisoners because it makes you start to, you got the whole I'm switching to mummy robes. It's a different tone of white. I'm going to start doing a smaller highlight along here. So anyway, so I called this guy Blanca because the way his hair looked reminded me of the, well, that's too white. It's not going to work. It reminded me of Blanca from the old Street Fighter 2 game. You know, the green skin with the red hair that was just crazy unkempt. Reminded me of that guy. And I remember when he came in, this guy was freaking terrified. Panicked. Saw it in his face. I saw it in his eyes. Oh, yeah, that's going to look great with that super light layer. And I stopped everything. I made everybody stop, and I stopped him, and I looked at him. I said, started breathing in front of him. Deep breaths. He started breathing. He calmed down. Everybody calmed down. Panic left his face. It's like, man, that could have been very, very bad had that got out of hand. The guards had their blood pressure up. I could see, you know. My guards were great. I loved those guys. They always had my back that I knew of. I never knew they had ever said or done anything negative towards me. I know some of them weren't happy with me. There was a guy, no kidding, his name was Raymond Payne, Payne. He was a shorter Samoan guy. Oh yeah, that's all I'm going to do with that highlight. That's going to be just one light layer on that white. Anyway, he was a Samoan guy. He liked to work out. His 90% of his deployment money was spent at bodybuilding.com. You know, I'm not going to lie, I got into it for a while at the prison because didn't have anything else to do except work out sometimes. So, but this guy, he was very upset because of me. His unit requested a staff sergeant to come in and support them at the prison. I had just got promoted, and let's face it, Sergeant Mulliner freaking hated me because I wasn't a bully. I didn't like bullies. When people would just yell at the soldiers to yell at them, I would get upset and be like, man, you can't do that. I found myself doing it on occasion, don't get me wrong, but, you know, I saw it as a thing you shouldn't be doing. And that did not sit well with that guy. He was not happy. So basically, I've gotten too much paint on this for what I wanted to do. So I'm dip my brush in a little bit of water, and I'm kind of trying to thin that out and spread it. I'm not 100% sure I'm doing very well with this because, yeah, that'll be fine. I'm using this tone, if you will. I want this super thin because I'm going to do streaks, and like I said, I'm going to do the transfers on here. So if I'm going to do the red or black transfers on this white part, I need something to make that stand out more. And that, I hope, I didn't screw up by making this too bright. Too white. It's possible. We'll see. Oh yeah. Me sitting here talking to myself is the greatest therapy. All right. So, I'll tell you guys a story about East Texas. We had this guy. I recently found out they're still alive, and I'm kind of surprised. Michael and Pat, guys I grew up with. They were something special. definitely able to look at someone like that and go, you are a product of your environment. Very weird family. They were the people that got me into a thing called cotillion when I was growing up. I did not know, being in Arizona, going to grade school, that there was a class, usually after Sunday school. You can go to Bible study in Sunday school. And there was a class called cotillion. They taught us dancing, gentlemanly endeavors, like how to open the door for the ladies. They taught us how to do manly things like we had a barbecue lesson. That's funny. Yes, at some point in my life, I had a lesson in barbecuing. Is it because in Texas we take our barbecuing seriously? I don't know, man. But I remember them telling us, this is what men do. This is how you become a man. This is what you're responsible for. If you have a girl, you always take care of her. The girl, your mom, your wife. You always treat them with respect. That was our big thing, is respect was the word. And is that happening today? I don't know. Respect for your own parents, yes. Respect for your own mom, yeah. Respect for other people, that's the thing. That's the thing that I believe we have lost. We no longer respect each other. And if you don't respect each other, no matter what anybody wants to say, you will never get along, because you will never treat someone's views and opinions with the value that you should, because you do not believe it has the value. And that's something that people need to do, including me. Get over yourself, man. It's not about you. Even though we like to make it about us, even though we like to try to make it about us, it's not about you. Watch that Aussie Man Reviews episode that came out today. It's crappy people. There's a guy that just will not stop. This girl's like, look, man, I'm going to call security. I don't want to service you. You're being a jerk. And he just continues on until he finally breaks this girl. And it's like, I'm that guy. I've done that completely unnecessarily negative thing. I still do it on occasion. When you hit that, I will not bend or compromise this at all. Will not bend or compromise. And when you do that, you I don't know, man. People say in the Army it was have confidence, never compromise your integrity. It's like, sometimes you're wrong, man. And sadly, a lot of times the Army said it doesn't matter if you're wrong. As long as you make a decision, you've done the right thing. It's like, I will never accept that. All right, so now what I'm doing is taking this Death World Force, which is a considerably lighter tone green, and I am going to go over all of the top edges of everything only. Even after me complaining about the whole edge highlighting thing. Yeah, you're right. But this is not the same thing. This is object light sourcing. Now this is, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to put a very tiny set of lines on here just to kind of see what happens. But object light sourcing is to have a directional light, if you will. I'm going to put those tiny little really faint lines on there See how they look when they dry. If that looks right, then that is all I'm going to do for this till I spray these legs and get the transfers put on. Need to watch some videos on transfers. If anybody's got some recommendations for transfer videos, would be very, very appreciative of it. And I'll do a couple more on this leg just to see how it's going to go. I'll do it in places too where if I have to, I can easily recover it. Oh, that was not good. Oh man, that was not good. Go ahead and get that off of there. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work out quite as well as I like it. I'm going to have to change that. Maybe. We'll see when it dries, but we'll go with that for now. Maybe take a little bit of a darker tone. Slide next to it. Who knows? That is what I'm going to go with for now. All right. We are at 46 minutes on this build and paint. We'll see how this looks later on. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate the ones that stayed here for that whole time, listening to me ramble. It's got to be nice knowing someone's crazier than you sometimes. Today it's going to be bright and sunny and the river is down. Saw that coming in this morning. Might go out to the river in the kayak. I'm getting a magnet, so I'm going to go magnet fishing with my son and do some videos on that. See how that plays out. All right, guys. Be excellent to each other. Seriously, go out of your way today and do something nice for someone. Just go be nice to somebody. It's easier said than done. It only takes a minute. Go buy a McDonald's and get a meal and go find some guy and say, here you go, man. Here's your meal. Go help somebody. Be positive. Be great. See you guys later.